You may be wondering why I'm out in the pasture, but joining me today is Dr. Laura Goodman, and we're looking at some weeds that you might even find in those urban environments. And right here behind us is the infamous water hemlock, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, right. So we have both poison hemlock and water hemlock in the state, and both of them are toxic. So we want to avoid both of these plants. You're right. We have them out in pastures, but we also have them in the edges of our yards. Sometimes they can pop up in garden beds. And this is a plant that we want to be really careful about as far as control.
Okay, so is this poison hemlock or water hemlock? I guess I should ask.
This is poison hemlock, yep. And the main difference is just how the leaves look, but it really doesn't matter. They're both going to be really large flowering plants. They're in the carrot family. We have some other plants that look fairly similar, but this is one that you want to make sure that you're fairly careful about because it can be an issue for people, for pets, for livestock.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I see you touching it. I mean, we're kind of brushing against it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not like poison ivy that you want to make sure you don't touch it at all, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you were going to be aggressively pulling this plant up, then I would recommend that you wear gloves and a long sleeve shirt. You want to just try to keep as minimal contact with the plant.
Okay.
But the biggest danger is from ingestion.
Okay.
So ingestion, and then if you were in here either mowing or weed eating, that could also be a problem. So if you were going to do that, you'd want to make sure you're wearing eye protection, maybe even a mask. You don't want to be inhaling a bunch of the pollen and the oils that come off of this plant.
Okay, and it can cause stomach and heart problems. It's not like a rash, right?
Yeah, so it has alkaloids in it, and the alkaloids can actually even cause respiratory issues and heart issues. So you want to be really careful with this plant. And so that's why we recommend, wearing gloves, all that protective, materials and stuff to keep your skin protected, and then so you wouldn't get it in your eyes or inhale any of it.
Okay. Well, and I know it's always a concern with farmers, with livestock and things like that. What about in the urban environment with pets?
Yeah. So even if they just ate a few leaves, that could be fatal. So we don't want our animals eating them. The flowers and the seeds are actually what's most toxic.
Okay.
So, it would be, they'd have to knock it down because most of the time it's a pretty tall plant, as you can see. But yeah, we don't want animals eating it for sure. It would be toxic to any of your pets, but even like chickens, turkeys, pigs, if you had a farmstead or something like that, for sure cattle and sheep.
And it is a pretty flower. It's got that white umbel, right? And seems to be a good pollinator plant out here, actually, too. But there's one that we often find in the garden that is harmless.
So this is hedge parsley. So you see this growing all along the highways right now. And is very, very, very common in pastures and will grow in garden beds as well. It's a smaller plant. Usually it's going to be much shorter than your poison hemlock or your water hemlock. The stems do not have those purple splotches on them. And if you looked really closely, you could even see there's like some little tiny hairs. And so hedge parsley, Queen Anne's lace, yarrow, a lot of our white flowering plants that grow at the same time as poison hemlock, they're all going to have some type of hair on the stem. And so that is an excellent feature because the poison hemlock and water hemlock, they're going to be smooth and they're both going to have purple splotches on their stem. So
so these have like a sandpaper feel to them a little bit.
Yep, for sure. And the others are even more hairy than a hedge parsley.
Okay.
And so that's the easiest way. There are some differences with the leaves, but that to me is the easiest feature to look at is that stem.
And I feel like the branching structure on the flowers is a little bit more open, whereas these are like tighter flowers.
Yes. Yes, that's also true. Yeah. So this one, like you said, the umbel is a little bit more spread out. They have fewer that are clustered together, and so that would be another feature that's different. And this is a harmless plant, not going to cause any issues, so not one that you have to worry about controlling. The branches that come off of here, the bottom of that really wraps around the stem right here, and that is true of both the poison hemlock and the water hemlock, and it's not true of most of these other plants that we have that grow in our pastures that are not ones we worry about. So another feature that can be useful. The last thing is after flowering, when the plant has the seeds on it, all of the seeds on the ones that are not harmful have little bristles on those little seeds. And then the poison hemlock and water hemlock, the seeds are smooth. So there's no little like hooked bristles on the edges.
So these are those little kind of cockaburs that will turn into and grab hold of your socks and stuff like that, right?
One of the many plants, unfortunately, in Oklahoma,
But these do not do that.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And definitely that purple-splotchy stem is a real good indicator as well. So, and we're talking like, 6 feet tall?
Yeah,
8 feet tall?
Yes, sometimes even taller. Yeah, this is a good example of just how large these plants grow. We usually find them in areas that are a little bit damp, like that, the soil holds on to water a little bit longer. That's where it really likes to grow. So if you have a creek that runs through your property or behind your home, that's the location where I would expect to find this plant growing.
Okay. And these are all more in drier and wet conditions?
These will grow anywhere.
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 So if you have an overwatered garden or something, or even a dry garden, you might be finding this, but usually about 2 to 3 feet tall. Is that correct?
Yep. This one isn't going to be taller than your waist typically. It stays pretty small.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing this up for us.
Yeah, no problem.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.